So let's talk about just-in-time training. One thing a lot of agents have a concern about, understandably, is making sure that we're appropriately training our agents and we have the resources available. So I wanted to do a little mini section on developing training and making sure that you train your agents appropriately, and knowing how much training is right and when to construct the training program. As the name implies, I think training is something that should be just in time, meaning you don't want to sit around and create a boatload of training before you actually have agents. I think in the effort of actually getting agents recruited, you need to focus on bringing agents aboard, and then understand as you begin to train them, you actually cultivate and curate the training as you're training. That's the nice thing you can do, because it's very simple what you need to do. And again, we want to create training that's bare bones. I have very advanced, detailed training available to my agents and my programs, but it didn't start that way. It started with the basics and then it built out. So we don't want to overwhelm ourselves with trying to create a tremendous amount. We want to kind of let time create itself, or let time pass, create training. And then as your agents have questions, cultivate more training based out of it. Because one thing I can tell you is most people have the same questions, and you can create content around answering the basics. Again, not to replace yourself as a person who can answer the questions. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes agencies make, is they're like, well, just go view the videos. Just go read the script. Yes, that's true, but you also need to, and this is, again, it goes back to, the relationship that you have with your agents. You also need to make sure that you're actively cultivating a relationship with your agents, because that's what differentiates you from your competition. When it comes down to commission levels, lead programs, and things, a relationship is the strongest bond that you can build. And you should always welcome calls and help agents out as much as possible so that they are glued to you more. Okay. So, of course, there's all sorts of types of training you can do. You can do first-person training, which you absolutely should. That's ride-along training. That's hot seats. That's anything where you're in front of a prospect and you're in the field. You can also do things like evergreen training. So if you think of my video training, that's what we would call evergreen training. It's always applicable. It's something that an agent can tie into at any time in order to learn, and doesn't require your active first-person effort in order to teach it. It's very important as you grow your agency that you start to develop evergreen training, and you want to start immediately. Act as if you're going to have a large organization and have training at the ready so that you can plug agents into it quickly and let them learn at their own pace for the big, major, fundamental aspects. Now, I like to, and I believe that you have to wait to create your training on your ride-alongs. Again, when you're doing ride-along trainings, you're going to have conversations with your clients, or your agents, about different training topics, objection handling, closing, so on and so forth. When I do ride-alongs, we talk about all sorts of different subjects. And if I just hit record at different key times, I would have so much training material to be great. And but that's how you're going to start off, okay? And you want to make sure that you're covering and creating training when you're doing the ride-alongs that you already would do. So it's kind of, you're killing two birds with one stone. Core trainings are the main things you want to discuss. So when I say core trainings, trainings that deal with prospecting, trainings that deal with sales presentation, and maybe trainings that deal with leads. Those are the main core things you want to teach. What you don't want to do is what I do initially, which is create hundreds and hundreds of videos on all sorts of subtopics, different angles, different ways to look at things. Those are good to recruit to, which is why I do what I do, to help provide helpful information to get, hopefully, recruits from it. But when we're training somebody to do something, we want to keep the training as simplified as possible. We don't want to get too much in the weeds. We want to use the training to teach a person everything that is fundamental in order to make the process right, and then through the process of application and review, start to refine those finer points with, more of the finer trainings that come later. So core trainings, like I said, you want to have a script for everything that you do. That's one of the most important things you can do. And the easiest way to do this, guys, is don't sit out there in front of your screen and type this stuff out. Just simply get your smartphone, hit the record button on the sound recorder, record yourself doing sales calls. record yourself doing appointment setting and door knocking, and then hire a transcription person, and for a small fee, have it transcribed. And now you've got a document that you may have to refine a little bit to take out some of the awkward phrases and language. But now you've got a document that's 90% done that you can run through and edit once. And it is your script for everything. And that will represent the biggest and most important part of your training. And then I like to do hot seats as well, where we put people on the spot to test their knowledge. I was talking to an agent the other day, and he said, another guy named John Duggar, very good agent, he said that essentially selling insurance, which he's a final expense guy, but this is true of all insurance. Selling success in insurance it's a read and react business. It's a performance art in essence. We have to react a certain way based on what we read our prospects are doing. And a hot seat allows a close mock style way to react to what we read when we say, okay, what happens when the person says, I'm not interested on the phone? Boom, what do we say? And we put people on the spot. They don't know what to expect. And it is a synthetic version of what happens when you're actually in the field conducting warfare. It's like we're sparring, right, to learn our techniques better, but without the threat of real life, harm, as much as harm as you can get by calling someone or selling them or whatever. But you get the idea. Hot seats are really good. That would be what you would do in your weekly meetings. You could do them on conference calls. Better to do it face-to-face in front of a group of people. More pressure to react, and it allows you, in a controlled environment, how to improve and reinforce those skills. Because what we learn will actively go away if we don't have positive reinforcement to beat it into our heads and elevate our standard. Conference calls are good, of course. I mentioned that a moment ago. Once a week conference calls to answer questions or to go over certain training aspects. I believe the main thing with core training, I mentioned it earlier as well, but it's worth repeating, is your core training should be fundamental in nature. Don't get into the weeds about minor issues. Treat that as things that you handle on an individual basis, but you want the core trainings to be what you really talk about, because most people suffer in the fundamentals. They don't suffer in the minutia. And you've got to master the fundamentals before you get worried about the advanced techniques. And then carrier trainings are really important as well. Have the opportunities to log on to conference calls, meetings, video conference calls, even face-to-face, where you can discuss carrier trainings, running through an application, what happens if this happens, why this carrier is good and this one isn't. Be really product focused. So you got training on product training. You be very product focused training. You want to be very fundamentally sales and marketing, or sales and prospecting training in your trainings, and then also make sure that the base level trainings are available, such as the scripts, walkthroughs, hot seats, that kind of thing. And you can record all of this, guys. That's what the great thing is, and then turn it into evergreen content. So you don't, and again, there's a lot of great training you'll get just from this that is applicable for life. Are you an insurance agent who is interested in building your own agency? If that's the case, then beware. There are so many opportunities, quote, opportunities, out there for agents to level up their game and build their agency that put all sorts of contingencies and stopgap measures to prevent you from actually owning your agency and maximizing your commission. I put together a new program for those agents who are interested in creating their own agency. It doesn't matter what product you sell, but to give you the knowledge and the pathway to own the entire process of growing your agency and scaling it, and making sure that no one, not a single company, person, or upline owns you, where you own the thing outright and you build your agency in your vision only. This program is something you can learn more about very easily if you go to daviddufour.com. Click at the top that says Join Dave's Agency. You'll see a part there where it says Agency Builder Program, something like that. Check that out, review it, and then feel free to get back with me if it's something that's interesting to you and useful, especially if you're looking to grow an agency and understand the importance of building an independent way that has no entangling alliances with anyone except the vision that you have. So thanks for watching, and hope to hear from you soon. See you, bye.